Good morning. All right, guys, let's see where it's going here. That was a little bit of a nastiness at the end of the day yesterday, huh? I mean, maybe it was just a whatever reaction, Fed thing, and we'll see how much continued reaction we get today, if any, or whether it was just a jiggle. So let's take a look. I was just taking a look at some of the list here. So I have Facebook up there. It's kind of just trying to make a little low here. It's in a downtrend. So, no swing trades setups there, but maybe we get a put spread out of this. Let's see what it does here this morning. It's just hanging over here, pre-market. Good morning, Pat. So one to keep an eye on. Usually got some premium in there, but let's take a look. All right, so let's start with the S&Ps here, or the spiders anyway. And so kind of let's just say a candle of uncertainty. Look was green. It looked like it was going to go up. And let's just expand it a bit there, and it turns into a topping tail. So Whippy price action by definition, sideways, overlapping bars, and tails. And so now what I have to, not to be overly influenced by yesterday's bar. And the question is, why wouldn't I want to be overly influenced per se, or to take it from the point of view of, that I might take a topping tail bar like this more seriously. And it's because it's in an uptrend, and you got to look at things on a piece by piece basis, to not take one individual candlestick and say, oh my God, or, one move like happened yesterday, that sell off. And from an intraday perspective, yeah, that was a powerful thing, because you're putting it in the perspective of the intraday, and really not so much even the 60-minute chart. But if we look at a 5-minute chart, it's like it fell off a cliff. So, you have to take it seriously from that. But from the daily chart perspective, it's more uncertainty. We talked about the breakout failure that occurred. And after prices break out of a pattern like this, where it pulled back to the rising 20, it stabilizes, it moves up. You get a red bar ignored, 180 reversal. It breaks out. It's not supposed to pull all the way back in. No, it's supposed to go sideways, inside bar, and off to the races again. And obviously that didn't happen. So now, as it's coming down to this major support area, buyers need to step up and get this turned around. And in any event, well, it depends on today. Let's say if we were to get a nice big green bar today, and when I say nice big green bar, I mean retracing back up toward yesterday's high, I would take that as a long signal. And then, do we want to take it on the close or near the close, or wait for the next day to confirm and trade over the high? We'll decide at that time. So right now, we're really where the analysis has been over the last few days, this week, of sideways, choppy, indecision. And we'll see what today brings, whether we get some kind of decisive move or not. So as this comes down to support, the expectation is that buyers are going to step up here, and we're going to see to what degree that they can take control over the last few days. Qs, topping tail. Obviously, it broke above the highs. It looked great, until it didn't, And so now, one of the things to do is to put things in perspective. Is like, we look at the candles. They produce thoughts, information, on a candle by candle basis. But if I look at this and say, all right, what's going on here? What's really going on here? Just sideways. So yes, it's a topping tail. Sellers took over. Buyers ran, for the exits, fire alarm, blah, blah, blah. And now prices are up here a bit here, pre-market, trying to push into that candle. So while it's a topping tail and a wide range topping tail to boot, we approach that the same way as we would a big green bar like this, meaning let's see, just from looking at a daily chart, can it stay in the upper half of that green bar? So if we look at this topping tail bar and say, well, that's a bearish day, just flip the bias. Can it stay in the lower half of the topping tail bar today? And whatever type of retracement it's going to do. And so far it is. So we'll see what today brings. Right now, same analysis that we've had over the last few days. Sideways chop. Don't expect too much. Let's see if we get an event day that suggests prices are going to move decisively in either direction. IWM, well, that got kind of nasty, huh? Where it was holding this low and looking to pull back to turn higher based on, the fact that it's in an uptrend, and Dow made new highs, transports are pulling back, S&Ps made new highs and pulling back, Qs are holding. And so now what's going to happen here with the Russell? Well, it certainly doesn't look like a very good day for the bulls and to provide a continued bias that prices will go up. So now we've got a wide range bar breaking below where the buyers were holding up. So that says it's going lower. Let's see if it does, or that little bit of strength that we're seeing here pre-market results in a breakdown failure. So this is, powerful day. Let's see what happens here. But that suggests it's going to go lower. And there are things, that Dan and I were reviewing pre-market here. Well, we're still in pre-market, but looking at some stocks, it certainly looked like they're going down. So we see stuff that looks good, stuff that looks neutral, and looks like stuff that is going down. So while the market is, indecisive at most spots, there's stuff that looks like it's going to trend. Transports did exactly what we expected yesterday. Buyers were going to step up in the area of these lows. Not too convincing. Didn't close above the red bar. Got above it, but couldn't hold it. So we'll see what today brings there. Let's look at the futures. And we're getting that stabilization, but at the bottom of the breakout wide range bar. Not the greatest setup. Same story. We'll see how far it can retrace into the topping tail. Qs looks okay. It's a grinder so far, And again, you look at it on that way I said, on a closing basis, and this is just grinding its way toward the highs there. So, and that's helping the Facebook that got clobbered, and Amazon's looking good, like it's gonna try and attack anyway it did yesterday, the 2000 level. Get back to it. What the hell? I hope it doesn't lock up. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that with eSignal. You type in the wrong symbol a few times and it'll make it crazy and lock up. I backed off from the 2000 level, and pre-market, it's back up toward the high of the topping tail there. So we'll see if that can hold on to it. Liked the pattern. I like this pattern. It's not the best. If you take this pattern right here, and if it was to, if it was to have set up here, meaning you get the lower, maybe this would have got a little higher, and you get a lower high, lower low right into that area, that's a great setup. It pulled back a little bit too far, but that bottoming tail bar that took out the lows, that was a good day for the bulls, and said it was going to go up from there, and it did. And now it's into the resistance, but we'll see what it does. That's a positive one, and it has been for a long time, of course. And the Dow, which made new all-time highs, it's pulling back. This is pretty much your normal uptrend level of pullback to this extent, to where you get the turnaround, and lower high, lower low bars is a downtrend on the hourly. We need to see that stabilization to where the hourly flattens out, and then assuming a green day, the attempt to try and move higher. Oil continues to look good, and the energy sector ETFs, we're up at the top of the range, and they backed off from here. Now, I think we need a few days of showing that it can hold this area here, and that then going to open up the door to, I guess we got to go to the weekly time frame to really see it. The void above. So this is definitely one we're going to keep an eye on. I don't know whether it'll take a few days or a week or 2 weeks or whatever it's going to do to prove that it's not going to back off from that area. But energy is looking attractive, and the fact that oil is looking good. Go back to the daily. That is a supporting piece of information, and I like that kind of a pattern on a breakout. And that's what breakouts are supposed to do. Wide range bar breakouts, stay in the upper half, upper third, consolidate, and then we'll see if it actually goes higher. And gold, garbage. Right? Been saying that for a long time, and buyers have given it up. It's going down here. And so for day traders and commodities and futures and stuff, this would have been a good one to keep an eye on. And even here, a trending market like that for day traders on a contract like that is heaven because the odds are there. And while it was choppy here and there, you look for trends, because that's how you make good money, with trending moves. And that's it, I think. Just a quick look at Bitcoin here. It's been flat for a long time. And I got some alerts under here. We'll see if it starts to break down or breaks up. But hey, Bitcoin's dead. Marijuana's alive. It seems like that's the new hot spot. And,
hey, Greg, one interesting thing I heard from a guest on CNBC this morning when asked about Bitcoin. He said he liked it because it's holding this 6,000 level very well, which is a true statement. So he obviously looks at charts, but here's the interesting statement that I never heard of. He said 6,000 is the break-even cost of mining. I had no idea that it was that high. So I don't know, that's kind of an interesting fundamental little twist that might support the technicals.
Absolutely. It's an interesting thing. And, those type of interesting pieces of information historically can be helpful. I don't remember other things that I've heard, but I know I've heard interesting fundamental pieces of information like that. And it doesn't necessarily hold true. So first of all, is what he's saying a fact? So corroborate, make sure that what he's saying is a fact. And if so, and it breaks down, that's supposed to be bearish. So let's see what happens.
Without a doubt. And in fact, yeah, we're going to talk about marijuana on MT Live next Wednesday. And I'm going to put a bullet in there that, yeah, let's take a look at the wild ride of Bitcoin also as kind of a backdrop to the mania of what's going on in marijuana. But secondly, I totally agree that I don't care what the mining cost is. A chart's a chart, supply and demand. And if it cracks 6,000, it looks like it's going down another 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000. And so if it really costs that much, I mean, here's my analogy. When they talk about cost of mining gold, when they talk about cost of mining crude oil offshore and whatever, I don't care what it costs. You're either going to do it or not, and that's going to affect your business activities. I mean, is that clear? Yeah. So I don't care what it costs. If they can't get paid what it costs, well, guess what? They're going to stop doing it because you don't go to work to lose money.
And sometimes that's exactly what you need on something that became a mania like that, to where all these people that became millionaires with their baseball hats on backwards and saying, hey, you know what, here, check out my new Ferrari and Lamborghini, that I made off of Bitcoin. They're all, getting slammed and the miners getting shut down. And, maybe Bitcoin's, well, I think it started the move when it went to 20,000 from 4,000. And maybe it drops well under there. And then maybe it does make sense. So we'll see.
Totally agree. That's correct. So that's where the fundamentals, right? Like shutting down oil and that causing the oil to crash and all those little oil companies to go out of business 2 years ago. That's exactly right. That could be the flush out event. Yep.
All right. You handle the review.
All right. I just thought that was a perfect little segue. All right. Well, we have no disaster. So CGC put spread, Netflix. We entered a long yesterday on this right there. We entered a perfect entry. There's nothing we did wrong. We just got caught in the sell-off. But compare this sell-off to, the spiders. This held up pretty darn well. So we're back in a profitable territory. And I was telling you what I did on my position. So I legged into a cover